we're going to talk about the socialization period, which generally starts at 6 weeks of age till about 16 weeks of age. So we're just going to be talking about that. Okay. So don't worry about anything further. We'll deal with that as we go. Okay. Now, you got it from a breeder, is that correct? Yeah. So hopefully your breeder's already started some of the... They usually do some sort of socialization and that sort of stuff anyway. Now, if we're talking about socialization, what do you think it means?
I would assume being around other people and dogs.
What about yourself, Steve?
Yeah, pretty well. Well, yeah, basically just teaching him how to behave properly in that situation and not be nervous and not go on the attack and that kind of thing.
Cool. So you both have quite a good grasp on it, which is good. So the way I see it is associations. Okay, nose, eyes, ears. And then what does that mean? Okay, so what kind of arousal level do you want the dog to be in? So when I talk about associations, I think about the mind. Okay, and there's 3 states. This is just broad, right? It's very broad. We can either have a dog that is nervous, anxious, scared, right, like that. You can have neutral. So it's just like, yeah, it's another chair, it's another dog, it's another car, whatever. Neutral. Or you can have the other one, which is always the fun one, which is excitable. Super excitable. And I always think of that when I'm doing this. So when I'm working with the dogs, I'm thinking the first part of socialization is exposure. And I don't mean exposure like a nerve ending. I just mean exposing the senses, nose, eyes, ears, tactile, that sort of thing. So we're always looking at exposing. Now, the problem a lot of people will have is, what does the vet say versus the dog trainer?
Yeah, okay.
So we'll talk about that in a second. And that's very important. Because from 6 to 16 weeks of age, the puppies, usually they're very like sponges. They soak up a lot of information, but they sleep a lot too. So they reconsolidate all that information. So generally what will happen is, you'll get your vaccinations, depending on the brand and all that sort of stuff. They can get 2 or 3, depends, okay? The first one, from my understanding, is just an in-case vaccination, just in case the mum's antibodies are not in the puppy's system anymore, okay? So the first one, the second one's the important one, okay? That's the one that activates their immune system, okay? The third one is just another in-case, okay? Now, for the vets, their job is to talk from a medical point of view, physical. Mine is to talk from mental behavior, okay? So you can expose your dog without them interacting, because that's the second part, is interacting. So often when I say socialize with dogs and people go, yeah, interaction, right, play, whatever. Yeah. But what if I told you to do the same thing but with traffic? Yeah. Your brain switches, yeah, but I can't do that. Yeah. You can't just let the puppy run into traffic. Yeah, but doesn't it mean the same? That's why there's 2 things. So while my puppies, let's say in the zone where they can be a bit more vulnerable to diseases and things like that, you're managing their access. So for example, you keep them off the floor, you don't let them interact with unvaccinated dogs. But they can still see, hear, smell. So the more you take him out now, the better.
Oh, good. That's good.
Okay. So most people, they're like, oh, I can't do that. The vet said. And I'm like, yeah, but the vet's not going to be there when your dog has behavioural problems. Yeah. Okay. My dog's in my car right now. Okay. Oh. So she's been in that, like, not since, but since I had her from 6 weeks of age, she's travelled with me. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So she gets so much exposure, but she doesn't listen to her own. Yeah. Right? Yeah. My car is nice and set up for her. Yeah. So that's the first thing I want you to think about. You want him to be good with kids? Exposure, not interaction first. Okay. Yep. Okay. I can show you how to do that. Yes. Like we can actually do like we can talk about like the puppy socialization parties. It's great.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Okay. When you've passed that stage of, okay, now they can go out, then it's about interacting. The good news is they've been exposed so much, looking, watching, listening, that they go, oh yeah, okay. And then when they actually go out to do it,
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they're not. It's not so new.
Yeah, overwhelming.
It's like a gradation. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So with Ziva, for example, like I used to do puppy classes and things, and a lot of people just bring the puppy in and shove them in this group. Of course, there's some things happening in between, what I used to do is I told people, your first class, you're going to stand over there with your puppy, that's it. You're just going to watch and listen. Your puppy is being exposed. They don't have to actually interact to learn something. Okay? Because this is all about how are they going to feel about this. So if I expose them, then I can already start to see where are they. And then it's about what do I want to enforce. So a lot of people go, oh, it's got to be a positive experience. That's great. But if you're always making it excitable, that's that person that gets dragged down the road because my boy needs to go and say hello to his best friend. That's not fun. Okay? But we also don't want them to run away. What I like is generally a neutral to excitable is fine. Because, so if
and then back again.
If it's a range, it's a bit of a range. Okay, so it's not quite, but it's kind of like a spectrum, if you will. So if I was to do it like this, right, and we had excitable here, and we had fearful and anxiety over here, but neutral in the middle, right? Where do you think you'd like your dog to be? Somewhere here, preferably, right? Whatever that means for the dog, whatever that looks like for the dog. So your first 2 weeks is getting to know him. Okay. Most people, when they get a dog, and whether it's a rescue, they just go for walks and stuff, and I'm like, why are you doing that? They haven't even settled into their house. Does that make sense? So generally the first week, I do very little in terms of training. I expose, I manage, and I observe. That's kind of what I do. Okay. Yeah, you can still start training with food and all that sort of stuff, right? But I need to get to know my dog. I need to see, when I expose them to loud sounds, what do they do? If I expose them to things that run quickly, what do they do? What about a combination? So having a dog in a pen like this, for example, with lots of kids around, that's perfect. Because they get used to the sound, they get used to the movement, they can these things walk funny. They do funny things, they look funny, you know. So that's important that you need to know. If you want a therapy dog, that's going to be key. Less dogs, more people. For therapy dogs. The therapy dogs, we want them to be what we call human affiliated rather than dog. Meaning, if there's a dog and a human, they prefer the human's company. You can manage that to a degree, but you can't force it. Because it's like some people are people and some people are not.
Well, we chose the breed with that in mind.
Trait. Yeah. So they're very good with that. They like humans. So, but again, you always need to think about, do I want them? I don't want them to be scared. That's not the point. You got that. That's not a good therapy. Okay. But you also don't want. That's what you're going to struggle with if you were doing this incorrectly, as you would have had the dog that would they're so excitable, that's when they jump, that's when they tackle, that's when they bite, that's when they nip, because of that arousal level, and they're just expressing that. That's what we're doing. So it's the energy level, and the other one is what's going on in here. Okay, that's going to be important. Questions?
No, it's all fitting, isn't it? It's all fitting. We want a neutral dog. My thing that I worry about is when they do get excitable, I don't know if I've got the skills to be able to bring that. Like if we're playing,
that's what I'm going to teach you, which is great, because those are life skills. Some of them are invisible skills that we should teach you. So that's going to be doggy dictionary, it's going to be appropriate play, it's going to be conditioned relaxation, and all that stuff.
Great.
Okay, so we're definitely going to hold on to that, because we're going to talk about that.
And is that within the 16 weeks, or does that come later?
No, that's within 16 weeks.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Everything has it flows, right? Everything counts. But if I overwhelm you with too much information and stuff to do, you ain't done it. I know, because I'm not bad. Now, what I need you to be aware of is between, and it varies from dog to dog. That's why you got to get to know your dog. Okay. So between 14 and 16 weeks, we have our first fear period. So fear period, from my observations and my understanding, is kind of where the fight-flight system is activated. Okay, so if you have a super anxious dog before the age of 14 weeks, we have a problem. Because that's not the genetics, in my personal opinion. Okay. And my professional preferences. Everyone's different. Everyone likes what they like. This is where dogs start to go. You'll go like, oh my goodness, like the dog just realized, or they see something like a plant that's been there since they were here, but suddenly it's like, whoa, what's that? Right? So the fight-flight system activates because they become more aware. At the moment, it's eat, sleep, poop, play, go. There's no thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's why they fall off stuff. That's why they run into things. There's just not a lot of awareness. Okay. That's super important because we need to know. Okay. Some dogs you don't even see it. It's so small reactions that you just don't even notice. That's fine. It's the dogs that are the opposite, that freak out and never recover, that we have a problem. Okay. And then here you're going to build or break your trust for the rest of your relationship.
Oh, that's pressure.
Sounds bad. So what generally happens is everyone says, okay, you've got to wait until the vaccinations are done. Can you guess where that is?
Is that after the 16-week period?
No. Usually, if they only need 12 weeks, and if all 3 vaccinations are done, 14 weeks, and that's when they take them to class.
Oh, so that's
Right
the
in that
worst,
period,
the worst time for it.
Usually, yes. So, and it's simple, okay? If my dog's being a jerk, I have to advocate and let them know that's not appropriate, and I help them. If my dog's being bullied, I need to step in and help. Okay. But teaching you how to do that and still build resilience is a skill.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as you're aware of this, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Beautiful.